September 17, 1940, 10 p.m. 90 children, some as young as 5 years old, sleep peacefully aboard a British passenger ship 600 miles from Ireland. Their parents sent them away to escape Nazi bombs. To safety, to Canada. Then a German torpedo slams into the hull. In 30 minutes, the ship is gone. 77 children die in freezing Atlantic waters. Some cling to wreckage for 8 days before rescue. Most never see oil. SS City of Benares, the children's evacuation ship. The tragedy that shocked Britain and ended the government program to send kids overseas, and the sinking that haunted a German U-boat commander for the rest of his life. SS City of Benares was a British steam passenger ship operated by Ellerman Lines, built in 1936. She had a capacity of 219 passengers and was only 4 years old when requisitioned for war service. In summer 1940, she was designated as an evacuee ship for the Children's Overseas Reception Board Corps program to transport British children to safety in Canada. On September 13, 1940, City of Benares departed Liverpool as part of convoy OB 213 with 406 people aboard, including 90 Corps child evacuees ages 5 to 15, plus additional paying passenger children. On September 17th, after the Royal Navy escort had departed, German submarine U-48, commanded by Capita Lieutenant Heinrich Bleichert, torpedoed the ship approximately 600 miles west of Ireland. The ship sank in approximately 30 minutes. Of 406 people aboard, 258 died, including 77 of the 90 evacuated children. The tragedy caused such public outrage that Winston Churchill immediately canceled the CORB evacuation program. The story behind the ship. SS City of Benares was launched in 1936 as part of Ellerman Line's City-class passenger fleet. At 11,081 gross tons and 487 feet long, she was a modern, single-class passenger vessel designed for comfort rather than speed. Her name honored the Indian city of Benares, modern-day Varanasi, reflecting Britain's colonial shipping routes. For 4 years before the war, City of Benares sailed peacefully between Britain and India, carrying passengers, mail, and cargo. She was comfortable, but not luxurious, a working passenger ship built for reliability. When World War II erupted in 1939, luxury became irrelevant. In May 1940, with Nazi Germany conquering France and threatening Britain, the government launched the Children's Overseas Reception Board Corps to evacuate children to Commonwealth countries. Ellerman Lines offered 3 of its largest ships, City of Benares, City of Paris, and City of Simla, for the program. They were hastily outfitted for wartime Atlantic crossings. Lifeboats checked, emergency equipment installed, blackout curtains fitted, but critically, they were slow merchant vessels, not fast military transports. City of Benares' top speed was just 15 knots, too slow to outrun submarines. This tragic story of children evacuated to safety only to die at sea is breaking your heart. Hit that like button and subscribe, because the City of Benares represents one of World War II's most heartbreaking disasters. Setting the stage. Summer 1940. The Battle of Britain raged. German bombers pounded London and other cities nightly. Parents faced an impossible choice: keep children home under bombs, or send them across a U-boat-infested Atlantic to safety. Over 200,000 families applied to the CORB program. Only a fraction could be accepted. September 13, 1940, Friday the 13th, an ominous date no one wanted to acknowledge. At Liverpool docks, 90 children, ages 5 to 15, said goodbye to their parents. Some families were wealthy and could afford private passage. Most Corps children came from working-class families who couldn't afford evacuation without government help. Among them, 9-year-old Beryl Tarek Capel, the 3 Beck children, Barbara, 14, Derek, 9, and Sonia, 11, traveling with their mother, Marguerite. 10-year-old Michael Brooker and 12-year-old Patricia Allen, veterans who already survived the torpedoing of another evacuee ship, SS Valendam. The children boarded excitedly. For many, it was their first time leaving home. Some cried, others treated it like an adventure. Adult escorts tried to keep spirits high, organizing games and songs. The City of Benares joined convoy OB-213, 19 merchant vessels protected by destroyer HMS Winchelsea and corvettes HMS Gladiolus and HMS Gloxenia. The convoy steamed northwest into the Atlantic. For 3 days, all went well. The children settled into shipboard routines, meals, games, lifeboat drills, which became grimly relevant days later. September 17th, early morning. The Royal Navy escorts reached the limit of their fuel range and departed, leaving the convoy unprotected. This was standard procedure. Escorts couldn't accompany ships all the way across the Atlantic. Once beyond 300 miles from Ireland, convoys were considered relatively safe from U-boat attack. They were wrong. U-48, one of Germany's most successful submarines, had been tracking the convoy for hours. Commander Blackred identified City of Benares as a suitable target, a passenger ship, possibly carrying military personnel or supplies. He had no idea 90 children were aboard. By nightfall on September 17th, a storm had developed. 10-foot waves, gale-force winds. The children went to bed early, many seasick from the rough seas. At 10 p.m., most were asleep. 22 o'clock, 10 p.m., September 17th, 1940. U-48 fired a single torpedo from 400 meters range. It struck City of Benares on the port side, approximately 20 feet aft of the main mast. The explosion tore through the hull, obliterating the engine room and adjacent compartments. Power failed instantly. Emergency lights flickered on briefly, then died. The blast killed several people immediately, including one child who happened to be near the impact point. But worse was coming. Captain Landell's nickel immediately ordered abandon ship. But in darkness, in a storm, with no power and the ship listing heavily, evacuation became chaos. Lifeboats were meant to launch smoothly. Instead, falls jammed. Davits froze. Boats lowered unevenly, spilling passengers into freezing water. Some boats launched half full. Others capsized immediately in the 10-foot swells. The children, many still in pajamas, scrambled from their cabins. Adult escorts tried desperately to keep groups together, but in darkness and panic, children scattered. Some reached lifeboats, others grabbed life jackets and jumped. Many froze in terror, unable to move. The water temperature was 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, cold enough to kill in under an hour. The air was barely warmer. 10:30 p.m., 30 minutes after the torpedo struck, City of Benares' bow rose from the water. For a moment, the ship stood nearly vertical, propellers spinning uselessly in the air, emergency lights still blazing. Then she plunged beneath the waves. The suction pulled swimmers underwater. Lifeboats were dragged toward the vortex. Wreckage rained down deck chairs, cargo, pieces of superstructure, crushing people in the water. Within minutes, the ocean surface was littered with debris, bodies, and a handful of lifeboats drifting in the storm. Destroyer HMS Hurricane, responding to the distress call, arrived hours later and rescued 105 survivors. Most lifeboats drifted away in the darkness, never found. One lifeboat, containing 6 children, including 3 CORB evacuees, drifted for 8 days before being spotted by a Royal Air Force. Sunderland flying boat, piloted by Australian Bill Gehring. HMS Anthony raced to rescue them. 4 boys and 3 girls survived that ordeal. Dehydrated, sunburned, hypothermic, but alive. Final toll, 258 dead of 406 aboard. This included 77 of the 90 CORB children, plus 21 additional paying passenger children. Only 13 CORB evacuees survived. Among the dead, 9-year-old, Bear-old, 5-year-old, Derek Capel, and 75 others who had been sent away to safety by parents who would never see them again for 85 years. City of Benares has rested, where she died approximately 600 miles west of Ireland in deep Atlantic waters. Unlike shallow wrecks that attract divers, she lies far beyond recreational diving limits in darkness and cold that few have explored. The exact coordinates were lost, the wreck never officially located or surveyed. She remains a grave, undisturbed, holding 258 souls, including 77 children who never reached Canada. If explorers could locate her in the vast Atlantic, the descent would be daunting. As we pass 500 meters, sunlight disappears. At 1,000 meters, the pressure becomes crushing. Based on depth charts of the area, City of Benares likely rests between 2,000 and 3,000 meters down. At this depth, the temperature hovers just above freezing. Marine life is scarce. The wreck, if intact, would be remarkably preserved in the cold, oxygen poor water. A frozen moment of September 17, 1940. If City of Benares is ever found, the discovery would reveal a ship broken by catastrophe. The torpedo impact on the port side would be a massive wound, deck plating peeled back. HULL structure collapsed inward. She would sit upright or listing, bow possibly separated from the stern section due to the violent sinking. The superstructure, where children's cabins were located, would be collapsed, but recognizable. Lifeboats, or what remains of them, might still hang from twisted davits, frozen mid-launch for 85 years. Inside, if penetration were possible, the children's quarters would be haunting. Small beds arranged dormitory style, toys, books, and teddy bears brought from home, scattered across decks, buried in silt. Each toy belonged to someone. A 5-year-old clutching it for comfort. A 12-year-old packing it as a memento of home. The dining salon where children ate their last meals. The recreation room where they played cards and sang songs. The corridors they ran through during lifeboat drills, never imagining they'd use that training for real. Personal effects would litter the debris field. Shoes, suitcases with name tags, school uniforms, life jackets that failed to save the children who wore them. If City of Benares is ever found, one object would represent the entire tragedy. A child's teddy bear resting on the seafloor near the wreckage, untouched for 85 years. A silent witness to innocence destroyed. Somewhere in the North Atlantic, between 2,000 and 3,000 meters down, SS City of Benares tells her story without words. Steel corrodes, memories fade, governments forget, but the ocean holds 77 children who deserve to grow old. City of Benares wasn't the war's deadliest sinking, but it was one of the most heartbreaking, because these weren't soldiers or sailors, they were children. If this devastating story of innocence lost at sea moved you, honor the 77 children of City of Benares by sharing their story. Hit that like button, subscribe for more untold World War II tragedies, and turn on notifications. Because these children deserve to be remembered, not as statistics, but as individuals who never got to grow up. What other forgotten wartime tragedies involving civilians should we explore? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's make sure the world never forgets the City of Benares.